so many S&S camps, so little time, but I was able to catch up with S&S outfitter Cy Gilliland and ask some questions about the history of Camp Envy and how it got its name.
This is the story of how Camp Envy got its name. So originally we started hunting out of this property about 30 years ago, and back then all the tents were on the ground and they were wall tents. You know, the cook tents, the sleeping tents, everything were just on the ground like everybody set up wall tents in those days. And then one of our guides came up with the bright idea, since we had electricity at an old abandoned well site. So we moved the camp to that abandoned well site, took advantage of the electricity, and we built a cookhouse, we built a shower house, and we put all the wall tents, you can see these wall tents, we built floors for the wall tents, and then had electrical outlets in the wall tents too, so that we had lights. The other guides that guided out of our other camps found out about this camp, and they were envious that they weren't assigned to work out of this camp, so it earned its name Camp Envy, which we still use today. So a little history about this camp and how we evolved into hard-sided buildings. So one year was the last hunt of the season. We had an absolutely incredible windstorm and rainstorm that hit us, and it was absolutely hurricane strength. So we were trying to get a group of new hunters in is what happened, and they were the very last camp to use it that year. And we started losing tents. There's no cell service back then, so there's really no good way of communicating. So the guides that were here in the cook, they used their pickup trucks and they pulled up alongside the cook tent, and they tied the cook tent down to the bumpers of their pickup trucks, and that's the only thing that kept the cook tent from going. And then all the sleeping tents ended up blowing away in that storm, and we scoured the prairie for years after that, and the biggest piece of canvas we found was about 5 foot by 5 foot. So that taught us a pretty valuable lesson about the power of Mother Nature and what the ravages it could do to our camp. So at that point in time, we switched gears and we built hard-sided buildings. And so this was the first camp that we built. And so because of it's out in what they call the Thunder Basin grasslands. And there's a reason this country's called Thunder Basin, is because of the powerful storms that hit out here. And so we built this hard-sided camp with multiple bedrooms and a nice dining room and a nice shower building, that sort of stuff. Camp Envy was the very first camp we built. We modeled the orchard camp after it, and we did some things right. We did some things that we improved on with the orchard camp, but it's always been, it's served its function really well. It was about 10 years ago, 8 years ago, we moved it from where we originally built it, and we hired a moving company from Rapid City, South Dakota. They came over and they lifted all the buildings up, and in 4 days' time we moved it to its new present-day location due to some land changes of ownership, and so we had to move the camp, and so this is where it resides at today.
And now you know. We hope that you will follow along by subscribing to the S&S YouTube channel right here. You won't want to miss next month's video after all, as I ride along with the team at the Scat Creek Elk Feed Grounds and my visit with Wyoming Game and Fish Representative John Lund, who answers questions surrounding the issues that face the state feed grounds. We'll see you then.